What's up, everybody, and welcome back to this episode of the podcast. On this episode, we're going to look at being smart about after you have a back surgery. Now, back surgery is always going to be a scary experience for anyone, and generally it's not something that we just sign up for initially without trying other things first. And for some, you got the surgery and the pain was supposed to be over, but something still feels a little bit off. And here's how you're going to get your life back. I'm going to talk about that in this podcast. But it has happened that I've seen so many people rushed into a surgery, and some of them are absolutely necessary, and others not so much. That won't be the topic of this discussion of which ones are right and which ones are wrong. But by the end of the episode, you'll know exactly how to rebuild your body, how to rebuild confidence, and how to work on getting your life back after a back surgery without falling into the same traps that would have caused the pain in the first place. The good news is that most people, I suppose you could say, they generally have positive results coming out of the surgery. And with time, when you start doing the right things, you can get back into the activities and the lifestyle you love. And that's really the reason why you should be getting it. It should be like a step up to allow you to get back into other things. And in a lot of cases, obviously, you're trying to get out of a life that you don't enjoy anymore because of the pain and the discomfort and everything that surrounds it, how it clouds your mind. So I wanted to make this podcast around about how you can be smart afterwards and how you can do the right things so you can get back into that lifestyle and get back into that place where you're not clouded with pain all of the time. Now, there is, I guess, still a road ahead of you after you come out of the surgery. And for those of you who are just after it, or those of you who are a year after, we want to think about this, that we can navigate the journey with a little bit of ease if we know what to do and what to avoid. It doesn't mean that you're not going to hit obstacles though. And let's just focus on taking it one step at a time. Okay. So firstly, when you come back out of your surgery, it's going to take a couple of weeks to get back into the swing of things. And it's really after like the 6th week in a lot of cases that you can start getting back into more intense exercise. But at the start, even though you have been in pain for months and maybe even years before it, it's going to be important to remember that the body is extremely strong and adaptable, but it needs proper input. The surgery is never going to be just a fix-all and then you're good to go. It's going to be, as I said, a stepping stone up to the lifestyle that you want to get back to. And the thing is that the nervous system is going to need confidence, and it's going to need confidence in movement. And you're going to hear me repeating this throughout this podcast because you are using proper input, and this is in a lot of cases why physio stepped into place, is you're using this proper input so that you can get this back. So your rehab should aim to develop confidence. That should be the goal of your rehab overall, because you probably lost a lot of confidence because of the pain in the past. But at the same time, don't expect to be out of surgery and everything to be 100%. You come out, you need to watch what you do, and you don't fall into the same protective trap that was there before. Now, in the first couple of weeks, you're going to need to be a little bit smarter about your movements. You're obviously not going to start doing some crazy explosive sprint right away. But that idea of being wary of your movements is a short-term strategy. It's supposed to be a short-term strategy after the surgery, but what you probably haven't realized is there's some of these strategies that have been implemented a long time ago before you even got the surgery, okay? And they will be tactics and as I said, different strategies that you're going to have to scrap. Ones that were good at the start, but may not be actually that effective anymore. And the harsh truth is that most people who get back surgery will go right back into the same loop if they don't start changing these habits. Okay? One of those habits is bracing before every movement, or moving like a robot. Okay? If you start doing that, you're going to find it more difficult to get back into the exercises that you want, and it needs to change. So if you continue bracing and you continue moving robotically or stiff, or just like moving like you can't, like you're a block, let's say, it's going to feed into the pain loop and back into the body's natural protective state. So if you keep moving like you're broken, your body will believe it. Now, remember, not all pain is related to injury, and I'm going to repeat that later on. And a significant amount is due to the system giving you pain. So therefore, as you start pushing on with the movements, we're looking to rebuild movement trust. Okay, and this is what's missed out. It's not just about building strength. And that's why I say, if you keep moving like you're broken, your body will believe it. So you don't need a new body. You just need a nervous system that starts to trust movement again. And confidence is what the system thrives on and requires you to, I guess, allow movements in a lot of ways. If there's no confidence, it's not going to let you do it. Okay, I always use the analogy of when somebody dislocates their shoulder, what happens to them is if you try to bring your arm behind your head after dislocating your shoulder, everything feels really tight, everything locks up, and everything gets really sore. Okay? But if I lie you down on a bed as a physio and I start talking to you about something else, let's say the weather or some game that was on at the weekend, and basically if I distract you to think about something else while I'm going through these movements with the shoulder, I'm going to get a lot more range with that into that externally rotated position. Now the reason I'm going to get more range is because I'm doing it passively, while when you do it actively, the body stops you. Okay? Now why would it stop you? Well, if you think about the externally rotated position, and that's just when your elbow, let's say, is in line with your shoulder and you're pushing your hand back behind your head, that externally rotated position is going to be an exposed position where the shoulder could be likely to redislocate again. And the body understands that. It understands it's a weak position, it's not confident there. So as a result, all the muscles will tighten up and not allow you to get back in there again. Okay? But when you do it passively and the mind is distracted, you can do it. So it shows that there's not an actual physical block, it's a neurological block. Okay, it's a protective strategy. It's muscle guarding. So the reason I say that is because we need to start to build confidence in the movements that we don't or haven't had in a while. And this is why I talk about this movement trust. That's what you need to build. Because then when you start to build that, the body will allow you there. You start to build strength in it. And we notice then over time that you're starting to get these back. It'll be a bit more fluid. It's going to be clunky at the start, but it becomes more fluid over time. So you need to start adding variety to your movements. So that could be rotation, it could be flexing, it could be lifting, it could be carrying things out in front of you. It could be pushing a pram. Now you're not going to do these right away. You obviously need to build these in over time. But it's important to start adding these in to your daily activities and start adding in different exercises and activities that you love. So playing and having fun is a really natural way to do this. Like a child, that's how a child builds this movement trust in themselves, and they start to build the coordination. And it's confidence, not strength, that is going to get rid of the back pain overall. So this combined with some form of progressive loading is really how you get back to where you want to be. And what I mean by progressive loading is that's where you're starting to get into the gym, or you're doing home workouts, or you're rebuilding the body so it's strong. Okay, and that then will continue to build confidence. Okay, because the strength is a step up to confidence. There's other elements to confidence as well. Confidence is evidence to say that if you look at in the background and you say you have a stack of evidence to say that I can now run 5k because I've run multiple 4ks and I've run a 4.5 and I've been able to increase my times. Now you have the confidence to run a 5k. Okay, that's where confidence comes in. Is you've done it in the past, you have the evidence, so now you can start to improve on it in the future. So when we start to apply this strength and this progressive loading, and then we play these kind of fun games or have these fun days, you can start to add variety. And this is something I do with clients all the time, is we look at the weeks and we say, okay, what are you doing? We have the program laid out, and then we try to include certain activities like going for a hike, or if they're able to, if it's a bit of time after, let's say, you might be jumping on the trampoline or playing with their child. All of these things will start to come into play. And it's important then that when you are doing that you understand, okay, I can be a little bit safe at the start here, but over time I'm trying to get rid of this safety structure and this kind of this idea that the safety net that I'm holding on to. All right, I've had it myself. I've had it with my knee. Like when I tore my ACL last year, getting back in and doing things, and even now still, it takes me a little bit of time to warm up to get back into activities. But then as I start to do that and I start to feel a bit more confident, I notice that my movement becomes a lot more fluid. Okay? So it is a huge part that's missed, right? And I think that a lot of people, if you're just a bit, it's funny, like how do you structure play? You kind of have to just include it in your day where you're messing around the house. Remember I was working with a guy, and he had a complex fracture in his leg. So complex fracture is like a spiral fracture, multiple different areas, and it was still giving him problems years after. And we were looking at introducing different activities. He was looking to get back into like basketball and tennis and different activities like that. So one of the play exercises that we give was, as you go around the house, because there's going to be a lot of jumping, landing, and pushing off that leg, and we'd obviously built up his strength and tolerance to a pretty high level before this. As you're moving around the house, try to do side steps as you're going through a door. Try to stop on one leg and push off backwards. Okay? Nearly like you're simulating what it's like in a game, but you're having a bit of fun with it. You're doing a side step, you're falling into a spin. And what that then will do is it'll improve the coordination. And then when you have better coordination, you're obviously able to move through it a lot more fluidly. And then you have confidence in doing it because you've done it multiple times. So it does all come together over time, but you start to introduce it into your day. Okay? Now, as I said, we apply that strength and progressive loading over time. And after that, then we really notice that with the body rebuilds itself, it starts to get stronger. And we start to get more confidence, as I said. Building it better than before should be a goal. Okay? And it's important, and this is a huge part that is also missed in rehab. It is extremely important that as you go through these different, and let's say overcome these different obstacles, and you're progressively improving over time, and you're kind of overcoming these challenges, that you sit and then you reflect on it, and that you recognize the improvement. And that is missed out with a lot of people. They don't ever reflect on what they've done over the last week or the last couple of weeks and say, well, okay, that was good. And it's funny, when I jump on calls with clients, this is something that I have to nearly push into people, where we'll jump on the call and I'll say, okay, this didn't work, I have pain here, this was wrong, this and this. And I'll say, okay, great, we can fix all of those. First off, what worked well? And then we can go over step by step. Well, my sleep was better. I was able to get out for a 40-minute walk. I was actually able to do like a light run, got into my first gym session, did my first deadlift in a while. And then you build on that. Okay, well, you have all this evidence that you're improving from here. So to continue with this motivation and to continue to be able to stay disciplined and have the will to keep going, we need to first reflect on what improvements we've made. And then you can start to push on after that. But there's actually more to it as well. As I said before, the fact that you literally can't have confidence in something unless you have evidence of it, we have to reflect on it. So this is more like working into the conscious element and into the nervous system. And it really comes back to changing. This is going to sound, this would be probably something you may have, I don't know if you've heard this before, but it's the reflection is one part, but then what we need to implement in future is better movement stories. Okay, we expect to have some pain after surgery. It's not going to be all cleared up. The system can often hold a memory of it, and that the time frame depends. But we're not waiting for this pain to fade and disappear completely before we start getting back into what we're doing. Instead, we're writing new stories of improvement, the gains that we've made, the variability that we have, the new activities that we can start to do. Okay, before you might not have been able to do anything. Now you can play with your child, you can roll around, you can throw him around on the trampoline, or you can pick him up off the ground. Like, that's a huge improvement. But people often get stuck in where they can't get to yet. They're too focused on, okay, this is what I need to work on. And this is so common with high performers, that they're too goal orientated and objective orientated that they often forget to reflect and say, okay, well, this has got me to where I am now, and I can get to this point. It's going to take time and consistency, but like, let's kind of sit and smell the roses a little bit and look at what we have done well, because that gives you the motivation to continue to push on and not jump around and try new things. So as we speak to those around us, this is going to be something that most people miss out on. You need to start reinforcing what you feel and how you are feeling. So let's say Ireland specifically, people have a tendency to play things down and be modest and talk about how bad everything is in a lot of ways, okay? But so they are, okay? I'll be honest, that's what happens a lot. In other countries, they're better for this, that they don't do it as much, that I've come across anyway. But when you start to speak to people around you and you start to speak to your own body, you have to speak about what it has done for you. Okay? Now, this could be a whole nother podcast in itself. You need to start speaking to your body more positively. I know that sounds funny, but you do. Okay? If you're constantly blasting your body or giving out about it, how bad it is and how weak it is and how fragile and how like all of the negative things around it, don't expect it to work for you that well, because the mind and the body are inextricably linked in many ways that we will never come to understand, and it's important to treat it that way. So speak to it positively, introduce new movements, and reflect, plus be grateful for what you were able to do after. Okay, so you look at it, you go through something, you go for a 40-minute walk, you a little bit of pain and tightness because your conditioning is down, that's okay, but be happy that you were able to do that in the first place, and then watch how it responds over time. Like, even the idea of, as you're warming up and you're going into a session, speaking to it, talking to it, saying, okay, like, let's get through this today, we're going to go nice session, going to feel good and going to feel strong. That sounds crazy, but I'm telling you, do it now, and in 10 or 15 years time, when all the research starts coming out saying that what you say to your body has an impact on it, and you say that you heard it in a podcast 15 years ago, this is the point. All right. That's me future pacing now. But yeah, it will. I'm telling you, they are connected in ways that we will never be able to measure. And what we are looking to do when we are speaking to it positively, when we're introducing these new movements, when we're reflecting on what we've been doing, like what we're able to do, when we're grateful for what we're able to do, and we can drop this idea of that we had a bad back. That is the goal of it. Okay. What we're looking to do overall with all of this is create this new identity for ourselves. And instead of being someone who is limited in what they can do, can't book holidays, can't play tennis anymore, can't play paddle, can't do runs, or can't go to the gym, or can't do burpees, or can't do explosive exercises. Now, instead, we're creating this new identity of someone who has freedom to move, someone who is strong and independent, a healthy, active adult who can do whatever they want, healthy, active parent, someone that a role model that your kids can look up to or your grandkids can look up to. We stop chasing this idea of someone who needs to be fixed, and instead we do what we want and when we want, where we want and how we want. And this is the ultimate goal. So that's really all we're going to talk about today, because I wanted to just give you ideas that, okay, you're going to have obstacles after. There is a long path ahead of you, but you can make it enjoyable. And as long as you keep on track, and as long as you avoid some of the mistakes that I speak about in this, and you're smart about your process, and you have a bit of structure in place, you're very clear on what you're trying to get back to, well then the sky is the limit in a lot of ways. Now, if you need help with any of these, if you are struggling, if you've had a surgery, or if you're looking to have a surgery and you don't really know what to do and you're a bit afraid, reach out. I'd be happy to talk to you about it. Because if you're sick of living in fear, you're sick of having to start and restart again, and you're looking to actually start building this real freedom post-surgery, or even trying to avoid a surgery altogether, just shoot me a message on Instagram at RobbieCassidy_, or you can email me at info@themobilitytutor.com. And if you don't know what to say or how to open up, just shoot the word rebuild, and then I'll know where you're coming from. Okay? You can get back to where you want to be. You can have that freedom. You can get that independence back. You can get the confidence back. It does take a little bit of work and a bit of structure, but I see it every single day. We lay out the structure, we give you clarity and a plan on what you need to do, and then we support you along the way, and we also keep you accountable. And we have different levels for different people depending on what you want to do. So we would be happy to help you. We'd be happy to give you back that confidence in your body, but you need to reach out first, because I can't find you. Okay? If it landed with you as well, I would love if you could hit follow on the podcast, and if you could share it with somebody maybe who has had surgery, or have had surgery years ago, or who's preparing to have surgery. Hopefully if we can help them out in any way at all. even just by listening to this, listen to it again, listen to it a couple of times so you have all this in one place. And also, I would absolutely love, because on Spotify and on iTunes, I'm trying to get it up to 1,000 ratings, or 1,000 5-star ratings, the podcast, I should say. And I would love if you could help me with that. So if you just, on Spotify, if you just scroll up to the top and hit the rating, if you've enjoyed this podcast, if it's been helpful for you, it's going to help me to get more guests on in future, and I can give you different topics then, obviously, and look at different perspectives, other people's experiences. So I would really appreciate if you could rate the podcast as well and share it with a friend. Otherwise, shoot me a message if you need anything at all. And that's all from me today, I guess. I will chat to you all at the same time next week. Lastly, before I drop off, I'm going to leave a couple of links in my description of how to jump on a call with us if you want to set up a call, and we can talk through your injury and get you set up in one of our programs. And lastly, I have a YouTube video where I talk about my own story of overcoming bulging discs, overcoming the ACL, getting back into exercise and getting back into jiu-jitsu, getting back into football. So check that out and give you a better idea of why I speak the way I do about the things I do, outside of my qualifications to do so. But that's another story, another day. Hopefully you enjoyed this podcast. Chat to you all at the same time next week. Ciao, ciao.